Hello everybody, and welcome to an overview of RightSlope's Appliance Search app. I'm going to go through an overview of the product and a quick tutorial. So let's get started. So when the application is done loading, you have this desktop icon on your PC and laptop. So let's go ahead and open. First thing you'll notice is a synchronizing data. This is the local app checking with the master database for any new appliance data that exists. If it did, it would be downloaded and you would be shown a dialog box. For example, it says last database synchronization. This is an example of the last time you were connected to the internet, the application checked for new data. So here we are looking at RightSlope Appliance Search App main user interface. We have the appliances that are in the app: air conditioning, room and central, clothes washer, dehumidifier, dishwasher, water heater tankless, refrigerator, and freezer. So I'm going to go into a little more detail about how the query works and these columns for each application before I go into detail about what these other buttons do. So let's get started. So let's assume we stay in dishwasher. Let's go ahead and just start typing. EDB 145. As you type, the application dynamically searches and shows you the top 10 matches to that particular search. If we continue to type, we notice we have a Frigidaire. See the two stars right here? Those are wildcards that Frigidaire has reserved for different numbers. So for example, if I do a 1, 2, it turns green, meaning I have an exact match. Whatever you type, I have an exact match. But since these are wildcards, those 1, 2 I could replace by AB, and I also get an exact match. So that's an example. In addition to typing in a model number, you can also copy and paste from another application, Excel or Word or something like that, and let me show you an example of that. So let's clear out this box. So here we have an example of a Bosch dishwasher, and here's a model number I just preloaded. So let's go ahead and copy that. Let me minimize this. Put my cursor back in the search model number, right click, paste. And there we go. We have Bosch hit, and you notice there's a number here. Number is also a wildcard. And for each application we have associated columns. For each appliance we have associated columns. For example, annual energy usage, energy factor for dishwasher, water use. And then we have where we got the data and the time stamp that this data source entered this appliance into the database. Now let's try another one. Let's go on to refrigerators. You notice a lot more columns. Obviously there's door ice service only on a fridge. We have size, which comes in handy for replacements. Let me type one in and give you an example. ZISS, so it looks like there's a G refrigerator. If you continue to type the one that I have looked up here, it's a GE and DR. You notice that there's 4 stars in this GE monogram below it. So GE's reserve some 4 stars maybe for their badging purposes. You can see that in this particular one we actually have the size of the unit. So it comes in handy if you're looking for a replacement model. Let's just touch on air conditioning central, a unique example here. There's 2 model numbers, outdoor and indoor. We search on the outdoor. So if I was to type in an example here, GT, you notice outdoor, indoor. We're searching on the outdoor model, not the indoor model. And you can see many columns associated with air conditionings. In addition to data sources like Energy Star, we also have other sources. For instance, 3.8, if I was to put in this particular example, bear with me while here I find it. There we go. Here's a Carrier, and this is the model number. Just an outdoor, and you notice that we got that data from Carrier. It was not in the database. We found that model, reached out to Carrier, got the information populated into the database. So that's an example of how the search for each individual appliance works. As you type, it just starts dynamically searching. So let's go into a little more detail about what some of these other buttons are. Let's start with the question mark. Question mark is a frequently asked questions or a help button. And it basically goes through how to run the app. Where do I start the app? You can here's the 10. Here's a question on why is the wild. What's the star mean? No changes to results. In other words, as you type, you're getting no changes, meaning you've got the best match already. And then what I'm going to go through in the rest of our few minutes together is some of these other things on the app. But this is a nice utility here in case you have any questions. You most likely will find your answer here. Okay, let's go back to home. Okay, back to the app. Let's talk about session. What do you mean by start session? If I click on this, I'm able to save a series of appliances. For example, by address, by a home, by a business, an apartment. So let me enter in an address here. And I say OK. Now whatever I whatever appliances I saved to that goes into that session. You notice the start session now has end. So let's go back to clothes washer, and I just type a couple letters, and I take this Frigidaire, save it. I go to a water heater. I take a couple of examples, and I take this American water heater, and I go to refrigerators, and I type H1, and I take this Marquette, and I have 3 appliances in my session. I go end session. Now if I show the session, recenter this, there it is, 360 Main Street. These are a couple other examples. And if I click on it, 3 models. Those are the 3 models I saved to that session. I can then email that to, maybe you're out in the field, you can email it back to work, for an example. Or a colleague, or back to yourself, or whatever the case. Okay, I'm not going to hit OK, so I don't think there is a Jim Smith at yahoo.com. You'd appreciate getting an email. So let me cancel out of that. So that's an example. You can also remove sessions as you get. You can delete them and clear them out. Okay, let's go back to our main area. The other area, which is an area, the other last area is called feedback. Let's click on feedback. This is an area where you can give feedback to RightSlope on any issues with the app. Are there mistakes in our results? Can we improve the product better? Ease of use. Do you have a good source of data? Let us know. We'll check if we can incorporate it into the database. So an example, I'll just put my own name in here. I'll actually give an example. And I'll put my, just one of my Gmail addresses here. And I say I have a good data source. If I can learn to type. And I click on that. I can also attach session results. If I attach a session results, when I click on email, it'll actually ask me what session do I want to take. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to take that 360 Main Street, and I'm going to say OK. And I'm going to click email, and it was successfully sent out, and I can go and get that. It will be sent to this email address. Let me go back to the home page. So that's a pretty succinct overview of RightSlope's appliance search app. I hope you liked it, and good luck with running the application. Take care. Bye.